Hey, what am I doing between these two trees? Well, I'll tell you. Most folks that do woodworking, we don't know where the lumber comes from. We just go to our hardwood supplier and we ask for whatever species and they hand it over to us. Not me, not today. I know that the table that you're about to watch get built came from this forest, from the pyramid forest, because the fella who asked me to build the table told me this is where it came from. So I thought, why not just get perched up here between these two oak trees and see what's what? Now, if I piqued your interest, if you're still interested, watch the rest of this video, because not only is it cool that it's built from wood in this forest, but this table will be constructed without a single screw. Now, I'm going to try to figure out how to get down from here without hurting myself. Enjoy the video.
You didn't actually think I was going to cut a tree down, did you? These boards have been aging in the pyramid barn for years. Jared called me up. I said, heck yeah, I'll come build you a table out of them. I rushed over and got these monster boards, 16 foot long. First thing to do, get them in my shop and cut them to length. This is an 8-foot table. Now I've skipped over planing and joining and all the milling process, and I'm just going to show you how the tabletop goes together. Now I'm using dominos to put these together. You could argue that dominoes and biscuits, they're not necessary if you've milled your wood appropriately. Now my argument is, well, this wood is 1-inch thick boards, so my glue surface area is very narrow. Dominoes help me with a couple of things. One, they help me align everything, and two, it just keeps it strong over the longevity of the table, which is hopefully a really long time. Now I've alternated these clamps facing on both sides just to prevent cupping as the glue is drying. And then I do the same thing on the sides to help me with that. Then you're going to see how I used to think I was a hurtling star. Not true. Now my table legs are 3x3s, and I had to use these 1-inch boards to make them. And I also have a cross brace that is at a 5-degree splay. So instead of trying to drill that out later, I accounted for it in the building process of each leg. And it's going to look something like this, exactly like I wanted it. Now this is going to be a castle joint assembly. So this is a jig that I've made on my table saw. I should have a dado stack, but they needed to be deeper than the height of my dado stack, so I made a bunch of single passes with a normal blade. And this is what it looks like. You'll see the assembly of these legs a little bit later in the video. Now I really skipped ahead right here. This is the cross brace that I mentioned earlier. And don't focus on those words. You'll find that out a little bit later as well. What I do want you to focus on is the flat part against the miter that's right next to the saw. Because at that point is where the lap joint for the stretcher is going to anchor to the cross brace. And then I also put another cross brace going perpendicularly. This provides pressure against both of those side pieces, and instead of just screwing them in, I use these 3/8 thick oak dowel rods to hold them in place. And then my favorite part of this is flush cut. I always love flush cutting for some reason. And then I turn around and do the exact same thing on the stretcher end. Put 2 pegs in each end. Now I use this block so that I actually drill straight. It already gives my blade 1.5 inches of going in the straight and correct direction. Now all my legs are right. I'm just putting a 1/8 round over just to soften the edge so there aren't really any sharp corners on those legs. And as you can see in the middle, that's the spacer that I made for those stretchers, for those braces. And that's, it looks like one solid piece. All my pieces are assembled, ready to be put together, and here I come to dry fit it. Sliding each leg in just to make sure that they fit appropriately, that they're right tightness. And I skipped ahead, I already glued the legs. Now I'm putting in the part that makes it an actual castle joint. Each part of the skirt board is half lapped, and one side is half lapped on the top, one side is half lapped on the bottom, and they overlap one another within the dadoed grooves that I made in the top of each leg, which, by the way, are on a 5-degree splay and turned inward 90 degrees, which is why I had the Y-shaped bracing and stretcher to begin with. And just to add a little bit more detail, I put 3 more of these braces across the skirt boards with just a little bit hanging over on all sides so that it gives a nice little profile down each side in the corner. And then again, I'm back to the flush cut. I didn't figure that this was going to be something that needed to stay. It looked like a shin knocker to me. Thought it was cool at first, but best to leave it flush cut. And then it just focuses on the end grain. And now we start to oil this bad boy. All right, so I know you're dying to know what the engraving says. From the Pierman forest, once a boundless oak, now a bountiful table. Love it. Rubio Monocoat is my favorite finish of choice. You just squeegee it on, and you can take as long as you want to do this. The key is to just touch every part of the surface, get it squeegeed in real nice, good coverage over the entire thing. And after you're done squeegeeing it, then you come back over it with a rag and buff it down. Now it is monocoat, so in theory you only need 1 coat. I do 2 coats just to raise the sheen, and it is beautiful. Now, I said this was not going to have a screw. Well, most tables use a screwed up, latch it down. Well, this is my process of anchoring it to the table without using a screw. I am using a domino, so that might be a little bit of a cheat. But this is where those cross brackets will stretch across the width of the underside of the table. And I am putting a domino to straddle either side of that stretcher. And with that domino sticking through the bottom of the table, I will also drill a hole through that domino that also goes through the stretcher, and I'm able to hammer through a 3/8 inch dowel peg. And just like that, you have a table made of oak, assembled without a screw, just good joinery. Enjoy these picks, folks. Thank you for watching this video.